Hey,
I'll go ahead and I'll kick us off then. Thank you everyone for joining. This is a Facepay webinar, and it's digital landscape, how it affects your shop and the customer experience. It's going to be pretty informal, so feel free to ask questions, in the chat, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. And I'm going to kick it off to Greg and Todd. Greg with Mechanic Advisor, the CRO, and Todd is the Chief Strategy Officer with Facepay. And then I am the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Growth at Mechanic Advisor, and I'll kind of act as the moderator and help the conversation go along. Thank you everyone for joining.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And Andrew was
wonderful
enough to help me and Todd put some slides together. And this is one of probably my favorite slides he put together with Todd. And is that Dr. Hale dressed up?
It is, yeah.
Wrestler?
Yep.
Is that Team Red at ATI?
It is, yep. I think, what do we pull, second place?
Yeah, my team Blue did I think it was like second to last, but that was good times. But yeah, just to quickly introduce myself, I'm Greg Rainville, Chief Revenue Officer at Mechanic Advisor. I guess some fun facts about me is that I've been in the auto industry now for about 10 years, a little over 10 years. I started at Mechanic Advisor as employee number one. A couple of my friends started Mechanic Advisor a few years prior. I told them good luck, and then all of a sudden they hired me a couple of years later as their first employee to run sales, and then from sales I now oversee revenue, customer success, a lot of different channels that just affect revenue. I have my hands in, as well as Andrew works with me as well on that. Basically built revenue from zero to now we're doing millions annual recurring revenue. I attribute a lot of our growth to just really focusing on the customer and the repair shop and really listening to customers and figuring out what they need. A lot of Mechanic Advisor, and we'll talk a little bit about digital strategy and what we've seen in changes over the years. But a lot of what we've done at Mechanic Advisor is just really try to fill in those gaps for digital strategy to help shops be a lot more effective and help communicate to customers and make it frictionless. And I guess, yeah, I've been traveling a lot the last few months, and I was able to get engaged in February. We got a picture of me dropping on my knee in Jamaica, but yeah, that was in between all the crazy travel schedule I've been on and shows I've been going to so far this year. So excited to get that part of my life started. So I'll let Todd introduce himself.
Did she say yes?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we're doing the wedding planning, which is fun. So
kind of a bummer of a picture if she said no up there. That's awesome. Congrats, man. That's really exciting. Yeah. That's really great. It's awesome to be with you guys. I mean, I know at ATI we got to sit down and just had a great dinner. You, me, Dr. Hale, and Phil, and that was an absolute blast. It really showed just the cultures of both of our companies, how they were aligned, and really look forward to just kind of exploring how we can continue to work together. And then look, maybe Andrew, I should probably give you a call and see if we could partner. I mean, just off subject a little, I probably should look at that. We're here just talking about things that are changing in the world, and got to look into that. My history, I was a tech for 15 years, gives me a really unique perspective in the automotive industry, because I literally just worked on cars in a shop, fairly large shop in Northern California. I was a ASC certified technician, had my L1, actually had my smog license also. And I was generally a Toyota, Chevrolet specialist, but I also worked on a couple other different models, were kind of my specialist too, a little bit of Volvo too. I ended up leaving the automotive mechanic space there. I went in and made my way to Demand Force. I was like their 16th employee. Dr. Hale was there. First time I got to meet Dr. Hale, and worked there all through this thing that they started calling this CRM, with like email marketing. Like, wow, total crazy. You could reuse an email, and it'd be a big benefit to that. I then made my way to over to Kukui. It was there for 7.5 years, and led them through their acquisition there, and then it was time for me to move on. I was really fortunate to reconnect with Dr. Hale, who wrote and created Demand Force, and take a look at Facepay, see exactly what he was doing there, and see how it was something that was industry changing. That was really, for me, something that was really exciting. I really want to get up every morning and just know that we can impact the industry. So kind of sets the stage for some of the things we're going to talk about, Andrew, kind of where I'm pulling some of that information from. Back to you, Greg.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you, Todd.
Yeah, so what we'll do now is just give kind of a quick overview and history of both our companies, just so you know kind of where we've been, where we are today, and then obviously where we're going into the future. It's been kind of a wild ride, especially at Mechanic Advisor over the last, I'd say, 10 years from when I started working at Mechanic Advisor. But just to let you guys know, Mechanic Advisor was founded in 2006 by one of my old roommates and his friend Parker, who's now our CEO today. And really how it started was, I remember they were sitting down and they were looking at the yellow pages, and I think my roommate, his brother-in-law was a mechanic on Cape Cod, and he was asking him about the yellow pages. He's like, "How much are you paying for a yellow pages ad?" And he's like, "Yeah, we pay to be in the yellow pages, probably about $300 a month." He's like, "$300 a month to be actually in the yellow pages?" He's like, "What about like your online presence?" He goes, "They do a little bit of that for us." At the same time, Yelp was really taking off. So what they decided to do was to start creating a Mechanic Advisor directory just for repair shops where you could leave reviews. Luckily, Parker, too, at the time, our CEO, worked for Vistaprint here in Massachusetts. And I think he was like employee number like 14 at Vistaprint. They're huge now. But he was really able to dial in on marketing, email marketing, and then a lot of like SEO, so a lot of like Google Trends and stuff like that. So when they hired me in 2011, end of 2011 going into 2012, they built a lot of traffic to the website for people looking for repair shops, showed me the traffic, saw like a lot of leads coming in. So that was basically my first exposure to repair shops, and really going out and talking to mechanics and repair shop owners in the Boston area, and just really trying to figure out what marketing is, what it looks like. And really, it was cool being in the shop and actually watching that customer flow. So the customer actually walking through the door, interacting with the customer, what went on behind the scenes, and then after the customer left. So what happened with Parker was he would go out and ride out to some of these shops with us. And then we just realized, we were doing a great job of bringing new customers in, but what about getting these new customers, turning them into repeat customers? So that's when we really started dialing in to the Mechanic Advisor software side. So we kind of pivoted away from the directory, and we're like, okay, what do we do with customer retention? Well, we came out with a telematics device in 2017. It was our own device that we created. Really good intentions, but we built it ourselves, and I don't think we wanted to be a hardware company. So it was really hard to stay on top of the hardware. We learned a lot of lessons from it. But at the same time, we were building software for the telematics to basically communicate to the shop and to the customer. And we didn't realize we were building kind of like a Demand Force 2.0 at the same time with a bunch of texting features, postcards, emails, stuff like that. So luckily, the CRM took off and the telematics piece kind of, went downhill. And then we were able to really push the CRM piece and focus in on some of the new digital marketing with like texting, and then integrating with the shop management systems, digital inspection, working with companies like Facepay and how they're doing stuff a little bit differently. We've really started seeing everything started evolving over the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 years. The pandemic really kind of kicked things off to really see digital skyrocket with touchless payment and stuff like that. So I think it really helps increase our value in the marketplace during that time. Today, we have about over 1,500 customers using our CRM, and that's growing probably about, I'd say, 60 to 100 shops a month. We're seeing explosive growth. Again, I think a lot of it does go back to our customer service, us listening to our customers, and being able to improve the product as we get our customer feedback. And with that, we will be launching our new Steer CRM. I call it Mechanic Advisor 2.0 Steer CRM, that we actually have a few shops in beta, but we are officially going to start launching this summer. And our sales team will hopefully be selling primarily steer powered by Mechanic Advisor by June, July this summer. Andrew, go to the next slide. Here's just like a quick overview of everything that we offer. So a lot of it I just kind of talked about with text messaging, email marketing, postcard mailing. We do a lot with reputation management. So a lot of what we can do is follow up after the visit, ask for Google reviews, Yelp reviews, really wherever you want those reviews pointed to, we can look at that and start growing that. Some of the cool new stuff that we've added that's digital is we have a website chat now that integrates with text messaging that a lot of our shops are taking advantage of. What we found is a lot of shops customers, they could be introverts where they don't really want to talk to someone today. They get kind of uncomfortable being on the phone and schedule an appointment. So we've now created a tool where someone can book an appointment, obviously online, but they can also chat in and ask questions, and that's going to go through text. And then what's great now with all these cloud platforms too, so like we have integrations with Shopware, Techmetric, Protractor, some of the newer cloud platforms where we can actually look into a calendar live every 10 minutes. And then we also have live scheduling. So if someone comes to a website, they can request an appointment at a time that's available. And most likely that appointment's going to get approved because it is looking real time of what's available, what's not. And there's a lot of different settings we can do in the background to make sure that that's a really nice customer experience for the repair shop customer trying to book an appointment. And then we do now with all these cloud platforms have advanced reporting where we can really track, okay, Greg read this text message. Greg came in 3 days later, spent $500. So the advanced reporting is nice. And then again, just a lot of the stuff that I just went through, some of the key features is being able to do custom campaigns. So what Todd was talking about with him coming into Demandforce and be like, whoa, you can reuse emails. Well, we could do that now with texting. We could do that with postcards. We can do advanced filtering. We can filter customers that, okay, they're high value customers that you haven't seen in over a year. How do we get those customers back in? Again, we talked about reviews. Service reminders are big. So doing decline service, recommended services. And again, a lot of our growth has been attributed to our dedicated customer support. Every account has a dedicated account manager that's proactively watching the account and then reaching out if we do see things dip in the red in the shop management system.
Yeah, and a lot of these features, just keep in mind, everyone, when we get into the actual webinar talking about the digital landscape, just keep all this in mind of what different companies do and how they all work together. That being said, I'll pass it over to Todd if you want to give your quick intro and about Facepay.
Yeah, really simple as far as our team goes. There's a couple bullet points for us to really hit on. So, we have over 65 years at I know it says just ATI, simply the ATI convention, even though we just went to the Shop Fix Academy, which was amazing too. And we work with Transformers also, a lot of great folks out there. We had over 145 years of automotive experience between, all of us. And Phil was formerly at Wilhelm managing and doing all the marketing and getting all of the large chain. Wilhelm was in Arizona, and I forget, I keep getting the 10 locations I want to say, but I've known Phil for over 10 years. He's our director of success and has just put the program together so that all of the folks who are coming on board with Facepay are successful. Jess is Jess, you're famous, but we're always going to say things that you're a cousin of Jill Trotta, so really well known in as far as formerly of Repair Pal there, and known Jill for over 10 years. So it was great to just have that automotive connection. Larry, you can see Francesca. Both from Demandforce, and then Richard also from Demandforce too, and going over to me, Demandforce, and Dr. Hale at Demandforce. So we really pulled together some of our folks from the past there, and it was really exciting for us to come back together and really take on something that was very disruptive. Back in the Demandforce days, when I would call a shop, the shop would say, I don't have emails, it's not going to work. If this is an email reminder system, my customers don't want to give emails, they don't want to be spammed, and this is never going to work kind of thing. And so we had a email finder at that time and ways to actually train and teach the shop to get emails. And it was very disruptive. there's a disruptive time and disruptive technology at that moment, really transitioning into email marketing. You want to jump to the next slide there? So, with that, as Dr. Hill had left Demand Force and was traveling around the world, he was looking at different technologies. And one of the ones that he saw out there, I realize there's a whole bunch on here. This is makes it look like there's too much. It's actually much more simple. It should just be like 2 buttons, which is essentially just checking in. The customer just checks in. Later on in the day, they receive a text to pay, or we can just check them out by just hitting a button, and they've checked out. What is Facepay? Facepay is simply bringing virtual cash back to the shop, is the first option for the customer to pay. The byproduct of that is it then starts cutting the shop's high credit card processing fees in half. It just starts attacking them, and they start going away as your customers convert over back to virtual cash. And so I spend my days talking to shops and partners, and we're always running into the same thing where no shop wants to have a big cash drawer because there's a liability, and that our world has changed now. Nobody wants to take a whole bunch of checks because there's fraud and people canceling checks. And so that created an environment and a culture that basically all of these shops out here, every time they earn $1, somebody steps out of the shadows and basically takes 1.8%. And that's crazy. It's crazy to jump back 40 years ago, didn't exist, jump now. How do we get to a place where every dollar we earn, somebody's taking a cut? Well, that created a great moment for Facepay, highly disruptive technology coming in. And our number one client is Rod's Japanese. Brittany let us know at the last trade show we were in. She did over $200,000, that month in sales, and she only had right at like 37,000 go through actual credit card processing, meaning the rest was all virtual cash. So if you take a look at your credit card processing bills and go, wow, I do $2,000 a month, or I get $2,000 a month of processing fees, by adding the Facepay technology in, you're going to watch that, get cut down by $600, $700, $800. And for Brittany, 1,500, she cut it way down. So really, really simple. Looking on the screen here, is there anything? I'll save some other notes for our next screen, Andrew. That one's perfect. Just very simple solution. I know it looks like a whole lot of information on there. Check in, check out, simple.
Yeah, so thank you, Todd and Greg. So that all being said, clearly Mechanic Advisor, Facepay, you guys found some gaps in the market where you thought there could be some disruption and where you could come in and create a solution. All these companies on this slide think the exact same way, are also disrupting and doing things. And for a shop owner, I know, and I'm not even a shop owner, I'm just, I'm a Mechanic Advisor. There's just so many different companies and so many different consolidations and new press releases that you always see. Like, what do you guys feel is happening, and how do we want shops to kind of address, like, which technologies, which solutions will work for them? So if you want to address that, and then I know we could, that's going to be the main point of the webinar here, is kind of discussing all the different choices that these shop owners have.
Yeah, so I could start, Todd, if that's okay. Yeah. So I mean, I've been going to trade shows, probably not as long as Todd has, just him being an industry veteran. But Mechanic Advisor started attending trade shows back in 2018, 2019. I think we started going, and every time I went, there was a new logo up and like a new exciting software, like with a bolt and a wrench, and all this is going on. And I'm like, wow, this is such an exciting time to be in the automotive industry with all these companies coming in. And some of them you'd see, some of them come and go. But it's been exciting to watch. But at the same time, I'm like, this must be so overwhelming for repair shop owners to come to these trade shows and then all of a sudden just see like a new logo up and try to figure out what they do and how they fit into the business. So I've seen it, and I've talked to some shops about it. I talked to someone who is very loyal to Shopware a couple weeks ago, and they were like, yeah, I was at Vision, then all of a sudden I'm in a booth drinking a beer because they were giving out free beer, and I'm like, so what do you guys do? And then all of a sudden they're trying to take me away from Shopware, and I'm like, I just made the big change from Mitchell to Shopware 3 years ago. I'm not doing that change again. So it's like I run into these stories all the time, and really what's nice about this world we live in, and me and Andrew have talked about this numerous times, is the fact that there are APIs out there, and a lot of these companies can work together and almost seem like one company because of APIs. So I know we have a great API with Shopware, with TechMetric, with Protractor, some of the names that you see on here. I know we're building one with NapaTrack Enterprise right now as well too. We have the docs, we just need to put it in place. So that makes things a lot easier for the shop owner because the constant communication and what that looks like. What I tell shops with all these choices is, everyone has their favorite vendor. Talk to that vendor. Who do they work with best? What does that API look like? How often are they talking to each other? And I think that's where you're going to find the best synergy. I've worked with shops, and Todd, I'm sure you've seen this, where they're using like 5 of these guys or five of these software companies, and they really only need to be using 2 or 3. So again, that's another conversation that you should have with your consultant at the company that you feel the most comfortable with, that you have the best relationship with, and they'll be honest with you. Like shops always ask me about some of our shop management systems we work with, and I always tell them, I go, we have a great integration with TechMetric, we have a great one with Shopware, we have a great one with Protractor, we have a nice one with Mitchell One. Shop Boss, we're kind of working on that one a little bit. And I will be completely honest. And if they are with one of these other vendors, I was like, I'll let you know when we have a better integration with them. But that's what's nice about the world we live in today. But again, I'd say leverage your relationships with your vendors to figure out who works well with who. We're starting to work a lot closer with Facepay. We're doing a lot of testing with them with basically their integration into Mechanic Advisor. We actually have a couple shops that we're working with, and we're working closely with them because we like working with them, and we think, like Todd said earlier, we are aligned culturally in what we're trying to do with the industry. But Todd, I'll let you give your kind of take on all these choices and everything that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. There was a moment there where there was a Demandforce, MechanicNet, and CustomerLink. And
Yep.
I know there's still our writer on there, and Mitchell is around and things like that, but those are really kind of these customer communication tools. And there were shops that would turn them on, buy them, use them, and they would not work. Integrations weren't that great. If they didn't have emails, it wasn't working. Some folks would fire off large amounts of direct mail and get a really low return, on that. So at that time, they were still trying to find their way. And we've come to a point. Here's what I think has happened, and I feel I'm right on. Back then, you had your thought leaders, your Greg Buckleys of the world, if you will, who are looking out there and always looking at different technology and trying to see what's coming in the future. And there a lot of times you go to some of the trade shows, you see like the same 50 shops or thought leaders trying all the different technology and asking questions that created new technology ideas, and then people would capitalize on that, create new technology. I think what's happened now is those 50 folks are now like 5,000. I mean, I ran into people at ShopFix the last couple weeks ago, and people I didn't know, but they were really, really engaged and really focused on, as an example, what you guys are doing and how you've mastered this space and really dove into your technology. And I'm like, I don't know, I've never heard this, person ever before, kind of thing. So I'm not saying that I know everybody, just saying it was great to see that there's shops, a lot more shops now. And so that's created a lot more of an audience to have a lot more different, types of technology. And so kind of one of the things you hit on was that, if you're using 5 different technologies, I do believe you have too much crossover, and you can definitely slim that down. But what is really important is look at kind of what you resonate best with, and then what your shop needs the most, and then also know if you've been doing something for a long time, kind of the same way, might be time to look and try something else. With you guys, Greg and Andrew, and I'm not downplaying it, but like, you guys mastered text messaging. Like, you guys master, I know you're so much more than that, but you mastered that, and you mastered the ability to get those folks to come in and have really strong, powerful communications through text messaging and effective. I've seen text messaging before, non-effective. Okay. You guys came out, and that was my first buzz I heard of you guys. I was probably there at maybe your first trade show too. And it was like, these guys mastered that. And the great thing about that is then you guys went and started mastering other pieces. But you guys also have done, how do we feel about the phrase, which I don't see you guys using, so I'd almost love to hear your take on it, is the all-in-one, or we do everything.
Right.
I'm seeing some folks out there trying to be everything to everyone, and the problem with that is, I can tell you, some of those that were on some of that previous slide, I can't look at that company and go, you mastered, well, you do a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I'm like, oh, right off the bat, just, folks need to know on this, like, that's just one example. Mechanic Advisor mastered text messaging.
Yep.
What killed it? Done. If you haven't been doing text message, you need to get with them, because that, you gotta add that into the shop there. Mastered it. So what's your thoughts on the all-in-one?
We have customers that, naturally they're like, what do you do for websites? Or why haven't you guys gotten into shop management system? They're like, you guys are already texting. And like, the big one is, why aren't you doing DVI? And we're just like, listen, the thing with DVI too is, like, a lot of these awesome shop management programs now have them built in. So they have that covered. And like that's great. But for us is, again, we really want to master the customer retention piece after the customer leaves the shop. And the APIs allow us to not have to do that. We have a great integration with our partners. They let us work closely with their, our CTO works closely with the other CTO, and like, they're working together to make sure that technology works together. I do think you kind of spread yourself out too thin if you do start trying to kind of attack these different verticals within our vertical, I like to call it. Andrew, I think you have some good feedback.
Yeah, so I was going to say,
take on trying to do too much. What is it? The master of none?
Well, yeah, you don't want to be the yeah, try to do it all. And then, or the analogy is, we don't want to be a mile wide and an inch deep. We'd rather be, an inch wide and a mile deep with our product set. So that's really kind of how we're focusing as well. And to me, all-in-one is such a vague term. Like, yeah, we could kind of be all-in-one communication platform type thing. We could probably say that. But to me, all-in-one would mean, no, that would be from when the car's in the shop, when the car leaves, like, that would include website SEO, that would include loyalty, that would include DVI, that would include shop management systems, that would include payment systems. And that's not us. That's why we work with great companies, like a Facepay for payments, like, TechMetric and Shopware and other shop management systems, or, a Pit Crew marketing for loyalty. Like, they specialize in those things. And that's what I think is really happening too with the current landscape, is there are a lot of companies out there that try to do way too much, and they're not very good at all of it. So I think there might be some consolidation of people really sticking to what their core is, and hopefully they bolt on and connect and have APIs with other good solutions. And then it could be a more seamless, type of solution for the shop, because that's where the shop is confused. They think they might go to one solution and it's going to, help them with a bunch of problems they have, but really it might create more problems because the solution is not good enough for them. And that's why we always tell shops too, to prioritize the feature set, like prioritize what is most valuable to you. And I'm sure, Todd, you say the same thing. A shop that's doing very low volume with a lot of cash already, that might not, Facepay might not be the best for them, but there's other shops that are doing 95% in credit cards where you could totally help them.
Yeah.
I-
One of the things I've kind of think is, and I've seen this, I only saw it with one shop, but I think could be a big issue out there, is there's a couple of the management systems that are trying to do that everything, including the marketing and
Right.
website. So it's like website all the way through to, the point of sale system. And the problem with that is that if they don't do the marketing side really well, then I have seen somebody kind of get upset and then they ended up canceling the management side. So you need to make sure that you are, if you're doing DVI and you're a management system and you're doing marketing and you're if you aren't doing well in one of those, and it for whatever reason is clunky, it kind of goes into the other sections. And that right there is just, stay in your lane, be an expert in your lane. And really, I love that you're like, hey man, we're not, you never know, you may have something that enhances DVI as an example, but you look, and if somebody wants to come out and bring a brand new DVI, you're going to compete with, Auto Vitals, Auto Text Me, what is there, Auto Serve One, Bolt On. Like you're going in head on with folks that have had a digital vehicle inspection for a long time. So you're going to have a different play on it. You now have TechMetric and Shopware have their own kind of wrapped in, but I know people that still use their DVI and still have a Shopware, a TechMetric, because they're like, hey, my techs are used to it, as an example. Same thing like you're saying, websites. Like websites and SEO is that's a whole different creature. And if for some reason Google wakes up some mornings and they go, you know what? We're going to change this SEO rule, if you will. And now that changes web traffic. Again, you guys want to be right where you want to be. And can you tell us all anything? I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot, but anything about Steer? I briefly saw these rock stars you had. You guys are rock stars.
I got the logo right there.
The guys this weekend did a little, like, you can't say anything. I just kind of looked and I was like, I mean, you guys arrived a while ago. You don't even have to do Steer. You've already got things mastered. You already have 1,500 customers and growing that are super exciting. Now Steer's coming. This is a kind of a game over moment.
So Todd, I think one thing a lot of companies are in industry too, that what we all should be doing is just improving what we already do, as opposed to always just adding new things. So like for us, we are staying in our lane. We're still going to be Mechanic Advisor. It's just the product will be the CRM called Steer. But really what it's doing, Greg likes to refer to it as Mechanic Advisor 2.0. It's taking our current platform, but it's making it way faster, much better user experience. The UI is much better. It's kind of just revamping it, and it's making it flow a lot better. For anyone on this call that uses Mechanic Advisor, there are probably some buttons in there that you have never clicked on or never even thought to click on, or didn't even know they were there until now that I just am saying this, and you'll look later on today and you'll see random little areas of the platform. We're getting rid of a lot of this stuff. Like we now have the knowledge and multiple years of knowing what's clicked on, what's used the most, what needs more enhancements, what needs more reporting, what dashboard, what information do the customers want to see. So that's really what Steer is. It's taking what we already do and kind of just taking it to the next level. And yes, we are adding a few new bells and whistles as well.
Yeah, a lot of what we're doing with Steer too is like we have a Google Doc that we've been working on for probably 4 or 5 years of what does Mechanic Advisor need to improve. And we've basically tallied up, okay, we need better reporting on customer retention. We need a map of where customers live. And
it's all from customer feedback, this list.
Yeah, and we literally, and Andrew, I have to give him credit on this. Like he's done a lot of the background on collecting this data and then presenting it to our development team to make sure, obviously, our customers are happy, and that, if Mechanic Advisor is missing something, let's make sure we're adding in there. And again, we're staying in our lane. A lot of the data that the shop's going to see is very, very useful data that they're asking for. Like, what does my new customers look like versus my repeat customers this month? What does that look like last month? How is that changing? What are the top 10 vehicles I'm working on this month? What was the top 10 vehicles I was working on the month before? How has that changed? So a lot of this stuff we're going to be adding in. Who are my top 10 VIP customers based on certain parameters, or my top 20 customers? So, and you should treat all your customers the same, but, maybe a little bit something extra for those top 20 customers. I think the map is a huge one that a lot of shops have been asking, because we know what's going on right now, Todd. A lot of these shops are buying other locations, and they want a map to know where their customers live and where do they not live. How do you go after those different neighborhoods or those mail-in routes to get those customers, acquire those customers? Or, this is a whole nother area that I can open up a shop, or buy that shop that, Bill down the street is still doing paper and pen. He probably wants to get out of the business. I could probably buy that shop. And that's a lot of what we're seeing right now with a lot of these sophisticated shop owners that are coming into the space. And again, we're just trying to accommodate them with our technology, and again, staying in our lane, just giving them the data that they need to be successful. And also to make sure that we're doing our job on the back end to make sure we really truly are a good customer retention system for our customers.
You bring up a great point. It just kind of dawned on me. I have never in all my years seen a time period where shop owners are acquiring or opening more shops. I think the technology has got to a point now where that is one of the driving forces, because you can see the inventory across 3 stores, where you can communicate across 3 stores quickly through your guys, chat technology, a lot of things like that. And that kind of has a very interesting thing too, because now you're really working with one owner who, owns a couple stores. I'm seeing that out there. Kind of give you a little bit on the, what does the future hold there, as far as, a little bit of the Facepay way we're looking at things. So, and this is futuristic, crazy stuff. But you watch all those sci-fi movies, and they always have credit systems. It's always a world credit, universal credit, like something to that effect. And whether it's your Star Trek or whatever it is, I think you even got it in Star Wars or something, and when you look at somebody goes to write something about a futuristic science fiction, blow your mind kind of world, and that's something they write about. Well, now you have Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is a universal credit, virtual system out there. And you look at it and hear this crazy sci-fi thing. That's real. That's not crazy anymore. You can't wow me with like, wow, there could be a credit system you could use all the way across the world. No, that actually completely exists. And so if you look at, as far as the future goes, there is no tires out there that are lifetime forever tires. Tires are going to be around for a long time. So the mom and pop shops, if you will, they're not going anywhere. And there's a shift in our culture too. If you look at like your Dave Ramsey's of the world, are really going, we don't need new cars. We need you to get a 2016 with 50,000 miles on it. Like these brand new cars and high payments and stuff. It just doesn't make sense. And he wouldn't be so famous and doing so well if that wasn't the truth and if it wasn't working. So he has a huge following. So I've seen that happen. And that the byproduct of that is the shops are absolutely slammed so busy that they're going, you guys have to evolve. You guys have to create steer to keep up with how busy the shops are becoming. And for us on the Facepay side, we've realized that, people not only did kind of the COVID times bring us back to family, but it also made us really look into, credit and actual cash. And that opened us right up for the perfect moment, right place, right time, right technology to step in and have FacePay bring that virtual cash back. We also do have everything set up for Bitcoin. So there's going to be shops out there. It's going to happen where somebody's going to come in and they're going to pay their bill with Bitcoin. And that's crazy. That is just,
Right.
there's no way. You told me 5 years ago that was going to happen. No way.
I was going to ask if has anyone done any cryptocurrency yet with FacePay at the shop? Any shops
I got like
seen that yet?
a half a charge.
You do?
So
Okay.
half one. So that is not, I'm not like, thousands of shops. One of the things that and there's still, just as they're looking at marketing outwardsly with it, I kind of go, think of it like this. If you're the only shop in the area that says you now could pay your bill with Bitcoin, okay? And I look at all the shops, we're always looking for a competitive advantage. We're always in competitive advantage. A lot of times it's just showing who has new technology or forward-looking technology. So if I saw that out there, I may not use Bitcoin, but that is something that shows, wow, you're already in the future. You've already started looking at where we're going instead of where we're at. And those are the shops that are going to grow, thrive. The ones that are using, both of our products are going to grow and thrive and be around. The shop owners out there that are completely resistant to everything. They have no interest in all of this technology. Some you guys run into it. Some shop owners don't believe in text messaging their customers. And they say this, they go, oh, it's going to bother them. Our whole world is walking around on these mobile phones, text messaging each other. I mean,
Right.
text message my own mom before I call her.
That old school mentality of the kind of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like it's changing. Like these shops need to they need to adapt to some of the newer technologies, because one, it streamlines their processes, it makes things easier, and then they lean on automation so they could actually focus more on the customer, which is the most important thing. And that's why platforms like us, you could sign up with us and be live within a couple of days, and the onboarding is an hour long. Like it's an easy to use platform. You could have as much automated as you want. We have out of the box solutions, or you could customize things. So I think, with FacePay as well, you kind of said how your graphic should just be 2 little buttons. I think that's really important with like what the shops do put into their shop and what they implement, facing out to their customers. They want to keep it streamlined and keep it simple, so how to understand it. And we know they're going to have staff turnover. You're going to have to train new staff. Like you don't want these super complicated legacy programs.
What I like about FacePay and some of the shops that we're working with that are using it is it's an option. Like you're giving your customers an option. If they choose to use it, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it's nice to give them that option, especially if they don't know the option's there. Because you might get that customer too that it's going to come in with Bitcoin one of these days. It's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
I talked to shops 4 years ago trying to pitch Mechanic Advisor, and what you were just saying earlier, like no one wanted to text their customers. Like they were like, that I don't like being texted. My customers don't like being texted was what I heard. And then finally I saw the change the next year. So again, you guys being forward thinking with crypto, I think is really important. I think it's gonna play out, and you guys are gonna win long run having that option, and shops having that option. I think it's gonna be super important.
Yeah, and you said it too. The other choice. So we back up a couple years ago, talked to a shop as far as what are your payment options, and again, the one thing that's constant is going to be change. There's things keep changing and evolving, and FacePay is now a payment option. It's a payment option. If you don't have that as an option to your customer, that doesn't, like, why would you not do that? Very simple in that aspect. And secondarily, you have people who go like one of our biggest things that the shop owner's mentality that they'll say, and we just had some demos at ShopFix, and they would kind of stand there and they go, well, I don't think people have money people, they got to put things on credit. That's what I think. And if the whole world was putting things on credit all the time, like that's just how they're surviving, those numbers just don't add up. And then when you take our data on the back end, it's completely the opposite of what people think. And even when I first started, I was like, let me see what data I'm going to come up with. Phil's on here. He knows what our average, what was the average charge over last month? I mean, I know we were 600 somewhere.
Yeah, we're close to 750. We had a couple early months towards the latter end of last year. We were above 900. So people have the money.
Yeah.
When I'm doing the training, I always say, don't get scared of the big tickets. I think people are apprehensive to ask. Greg touched on it there. It's simply an option. If you simply offer this as an option to your customer base, even the big tickets, small tickets, we have some guys who are using it to promote their oil change special offers to kind of get them on board quickly and easily. But don't be scared of the big tickets. Some people have the money and they'll pay for that convenience. They don't care about the rewards as much as they used to. So above 750 was last month.
That is awesome. Yeah. So it's not all your oil changes and a lot of, it's big tickets. And when you really think of that, that is the thing. That is what all of us at Facepay, that smiling team we showed there, that is what we uncovered. We uncovered, and this is what the credit card companies, when I say like some hate mail, woo boy, they do not like us at all. I have never felt heat in the industry as far as being severely disliked by the credit card processors. And then once I found this out, I said, now I know why. Because people do have money, they have big chunks of it. So they're like, oh, $3,600 bill? Yeah, I'll pay with Facepay. And I'm like, whoa. So, and here's where it gets mind blowing. You know who maybe doesn't have money? Is folks who are having to put the credit card, put it on their credit card for like $80 oil change. That's right. Who doesn't have money. You know who does have money? Somebody who's cruising in their whatever, 4Runner or whatever, that might date me, Range Rover, let's say, and then they're doing a $3,300 service. So it's pretty interesting. I think we're almost at questions, Andrew, right?
Yeah, I think the key takeaway there is just be open-minded. Like you really need to give your customer options, try some different stuff out, see what works, what doesn't work. Because people do like options. I mean, we've even had customers, me and Andrew, we have Candace Butemiller, right, up in TJ's Alignment, who she was one I had to like basically fight
Kansas,
with.
rural Kansas.
Yeah, and she was like, Greg, I think you guys are great. My customers just will not like text. She sent out her first text blast with Mechanic Advisor when things were slow, and all of a sudden she's like, there were people that were coming in basically from the oil fields with their flip phones being like, I don't know what you guys did, but you texted me. I do need to get my car fixed. Here I am. And that story actually was published in Ratchet and Wrench. But like I always tell customers that story. But yeah, you have to be open-minded to new technology and try it out and see if your customers, take to it or not. But yeah, I guess we can go to question and answers.
Yeah, I think well, let's as far as takeaways for folks.
Yep.
I think the management systems are going to consolidate down to, let's call it 10. I think you're going to keep seeing, and I'm watching them. There's a company out there acquiring a bunch of them. They're going to slowly start shutting ones down and saying, hey, upgrade to this and
move over to the other one.
Yeah, it's just going to cause consolidation. And the reason for that is when we had 150 different management systems out there. I worked with a guy at Demand Force who had 17 shops. That was it. He still has the 17 shops. They still love the management system. He has no interest in ever growing. It'll always just be those 17, whatever. But now I think those management systems have really come up, and they've done it. They finally got a management system that got out of that DOS-based area. And then I think on the website side, okay, kind of just framing both of us there, is that on the website side, I think you have some companies out there, the, Leads Near Me of the world kind of thing, that just do some really, really great websites, and, at a great price. And I think that's kind of shifted and kind of got its own niche.
And can do it
Now,
quick.
the what?
And speed is important too.
Quick, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so where I think that you're still going to see the evolution and movement is right in your section and right in our section, is that customer experience and customer communication, and that kind of customer flow, if you will, not workflow, customer flow. I think that's going to keep evolving.
And making it as less frictionless as possible. So you get your 3 software providers, you get your website provider, you get your shop management system, you have your CRM, you have your point of, you have your payment, but everything just flows together, and the companies are working really close, just making sure that it's a good customer journey from start to finish.
And the companies that are siloed off from the other ancillary products, it's going to be very hard for them to have super robust all-in-ones like they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So we did have a question here from
there.
Yeah, could I it's Ben Richmond asked, Mechanic Advisor integrates with Mitchell, or is it completely separate? Greg, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so we do integrate with Mitchell. The thing with Mitchell, again, is it is an older program where it sits on a server at the shop. So we can only go in there once a day to get the data from that day. We can go back 5 years. We can still offer you all the stuff that Mechanic Advisor does. What's nice with these cloud-based platforms is we go in every 10 minutes. So it's like a live look at really what's going on in the calendar and tickets closing out and stuff like that. But we have a great integration with Mitchell, and we have a lot of happy customers that are using it. But that's probably going to be like a lot of the other CRM plugins with Mitchell. It's going to be the same story. It's just because it is server-based, it's a little bit harder to access frequently without it not being cloud-based.
And to go to tell you how much some things haven't changed is you go all the way back 12, 14 years ago with Mitchell and the integration with Demandforce. Dr. Hale taught me how to go in and extract the MDB file. You can only do it once per day. Okay. Yep. And you got to do it off hours because of the strain on the system, So I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what file you guys are after. And then if they're on that SE, it's actually a slightly different file you're after. And the cloud-based, you're just,
it's instant.
Time.
It's good. Yep.
Yeah.
But we have a great integration with Mitchell. And we stick with the calendar. And we do offer trials, so you can see if you're happy with it or not. Most of our shops, we never do contracts, and we do 30-day trials just to let you figure out for yourself if Mechanic Advisor is a good fit.
That's awesome. So you guys, we have same thing. We do have a 13-month agreement, but it's kind of done in 30-day, chunks there. So that's a great. You guys similar?
Yeah. Like I said, most of our shops, they just go month to month. They know too, from looking at the data, if the shop sticks with us for the first 2 to 3 months, they're hooked on Mechanic Advisor. Yeah. They like what we're doing. If they do leave, it's typically within that first 30 to 60 days, which is fine. We don't want customers stuck on our platform if they're not happy with how it performs.
It's a great way to be.
Yep.
People try to hide behind a contract and get somebody stuck and force them to be there. It's like, then you got to go back to the drawing board and get your product right.
Yep. I actually talked to a customer earlier today, and he said the reason why you guys won was because you guys aren't doing 9-month contracts, 12-month contracts. He goes, you guys obviously have a product you stand by. So I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So Ben also asked what cloud-based alternatives to like a Mitchell. So for us, that would sync with Mechanic Advisor would be Techmetric. It would be
Shopware is great.
Shopware and Protractor.
Protractor's great. And then we are building out with Steer some more sophisticated APIs with like Napa Tracks. Who else do we have? I think we're
Vast
we are
SQL.
SQL, which is like a tire shop management system. We hook into about 30 systems, but the top 3 right now would be Protractor, Shopware, and TechMetric.
Yeah, and
sync.
make sure I articulate that correctly too. It's I think to Ben's question there, every shop is run differently, and it's
Right.
perfectly fine to have a system where there is the kind of the daily upload. You just have to set the shop up in the flow that matches the way you're doing it. Meaning, is there a big deal if somebody is able to use Mechanic Advisor and get a review at noon? Or is it okay if everybody does the reviews at 5:30, when the shop is closed? That's fine. That's just.
Yeah, and that is a huge key takeaway, Todd,
Yeah.
is knowing what you want internally, but also what experience you want your customer to have. Because maybe you already have 600 Google reviews. You don't care if they even get a Google review, or you don't need to communicate with them till down the road. You just maybe want that safety net if they're not back in 90 days that a text is going out. And then that's fine to get that data daily.
Yeah.
But yeah, like know what features you really want and what's most valuable for you, and then pick the different vendors and the different technologies that'll fit that.
Yeah. And what's nice about what we do too is we do have kind of like a solution we'll set up for you if you don't know what you want. But I have marketing experts that come in and literally come in and just set up their customer journeys for new repeat customers. And it's pretty creative what they're doing. I'm like, whoa, I was like, that's amazing. But what's nice is we have that flexibility. You can get as sophisticated as you want for what follow-up looks like after the visit throughout the year with text, email, postcards. We'll build it out for you. But if you don't know what you want, we'll help you out too. And you can kind of tiptoe your way in to try to figure out what that looks like.
It could be as custom and personalized as you want, or it could be right out of the box, and you might not touch it again post onboarding, and you just let it run behind the scenes.
Yep.
Hey,
There's a lot of flexibility.
Andrew and Greg, I know you guys strict time table.
Oh, yeah.
Same with me also. We don't want to run into our next
Mhm.
meetings there. We're all growing so fast. There's so much going on, which is great. It's a great place to be. I want to keep you guys on time. One of the things that's important is they can either email us through the through the link, or link up with us on Facebook or on LinkedIn or something like that. I think just I want to offer it. I know you guys offer it also, is that anything that anybody needs, any questions, it just questions about technology. If you ever just need a sounding board, please, reach out at any time. I can, you're welcome to give me a text message. I've had shops reach out and just say something like, what DVI do you think's the best and why? Just break that down kind of thing. So
yeah, I can.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to say like the best cloud-based shop management system because they're all great.
Yeah.
It's really kind of up to you, and it depends on what you're looking for. Because I know, TechMetric, I always call it kind of like Pepsi and Coke. You kind of got to go out and taste test yourself to figure out which one's the flavor for you. But I love having those conversations. I did put in my email and phone number. So if you guys want to chat or shoot me over an email, I'm more than happy to put time on the schedule to kind of walk you through kind of what I see in the marketplace and trends and stuff like that, whenever.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I know we could have chatted on this for hours.
Oh, I know. I could keep on going another hour.
Good little summary.
Hey, thank you guys for getting together, and really your guys' heart's in the right place. That's why I like to work with folks that are looking at things in that way and really truly care about the shop. Every team member of Mechanic Advisor that I've met really has a consultative approach, really just listens to the shop, talks with them, and really helps advise them. And that I just thought was really just a great thing that you guys have in your culture. So really appreciate you guys taking some time out with us. And I feel very fortunate to get some time with you guys and let you guys share a little bit of what's coming.
Awesome.
And
thanks for inviting us.
Looking forward to see you guys.
In a few months. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Phil.
Bye.